Our next step is to assemble the front support. This is the main piece here. And then there's two end caps that we have to attach. And then there is also two more arms that have to be slid in and then screwed in with two screws each. Those are the two arms there. So if you look at it, you've got these two arms on there. They're already screwed in there. But the other two arms we have to put here. So we have to take those screws out, slide it in, and then tighten those screws down. So that's what we're going to do next. Then once that's done, we're going to take the end caps and slide them right on the end of those arms and lock them down too. All right, so the first thing we want to do is loosen the screws for the two arms that we have to insert. So I'm going to start with the top ones. I'm just going to take those screws out of there using a Phillips head screwdriver. Once they're removed, we can go ahead and slide our bar in. Make sure that the end cap screw is facing down when you slide it in. We're just going to put it in there, and then we've got to match up the screw holes, and then we're going to put the screws back in there and then tighten them down. All right, so let's unloosen these two here. I'm just going to loosen them up, get them out of there, and then we're going to go ahead and slide that bottom arm in there. Once we've got the screws out of there, we can go ahead and slide that arm in. I'm going to give you a little bit closer shot so you can see what's going on. So I'm sliding the arm in, I'm matching up the holes, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the screws back in and lock them down. And so you want to check all 8 of these screws too, by the way. So you want don't just tighten the 4 that you removed and then replaced. Once you've locked down the 2 arms and you've tightened those 4 screws on the top and the bottom, you want to go all the way around and tighten all of the screws, all 8 of them. Because if you noticed, it was a little loose when you took it out of the package. So I'm going around and I'm hitting every single one of these screws and locking them down super tight and making sure they're in there. All right, so now we've got those bars on there, or those arms. I'm going to flip it over, and notice there's 4 screws on the back of this. This is the back. So we have to take those screws out of there. We've got to loosen them, all right? So you can see there's the 4 screws. We've got to take them out if we want to put our caps on. All right, before we attach our 2 end pieces, I'm going to take these 2 screws out of that center piece because we're going to need those later to connect and attach this assembly to the TV wall mount. All right, so once you have backed these screws out with their washers, you want to make sure that you put it somewhere safe and you don't lose them, because you definitely need them to lock this thing down at the very end of this project. So put them somewhere safe. I'm going to set them right on my instruction manual so I do not lose them. And there's 2 washers and 2 screws. Put them right there and you'll have them when you're ready to connect everything together. Next, we've got to put our end caps on, but before we can do that, we've got to back these screws out. There's 4 of them, 1 on each one of the arms on each side, and you'll notice there's a little hole to slide it through, so you got to kind of like line it up. It's not easy. There we go. I got that one on, but you got to kind of put both of them on at the same time, otherwise you can't get the other end in. But there we go, we got it in. Once we got it in, we can go ahead and screw it down. We just got to take those 2 screws and screw them back in there. So what I'm doing is I'm hand tightening them first, and I've got this really small Phillips head screwdriver. I should have brought a battery powered driver, but I don't have it, so I've got to use this. And what we want to do is tighten it down. Notice the attitude of this end cap, the way I put it in there. It's got the open part to the back, and it's got the smoother front surface facing forward. That's the way you're going to put these on, because that side is going to be touching the TV. All right? All right, so here's a bird's eye view of what this looks like. That's where that arm's going to go in, and that's where you're going to screw it to right there. So now we got to put this one on the other side. So we've got to go ahead and get those screws off of there first. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we did on the right side with the left side. We're going to take the screws out first, then we're going to slide that end cap on there, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten down those screws. And here's a closer view of exactly how it's going to slide on there. You just kind of push her down on there. You want to get both sides down at the same time. And bam, you're ready to go. And now you can go ahead and put your screws in and lock it down. All right, so here I'm speeding it up because I don't want to make you guys suffer through the video of me screwing these screws in. But you might want to make sure you get them tight. All right, so now we've got the front support completely assembled. We got the end caps on, we got the arms on, all the screws are locked down nice and tight, and this baby is ready for the attachment to the wall mount once we've connected that wall mount to the wall, of course. So there's what it looks like, and bam, Bob's your uncle. All right, so anyway, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these two screws that lock the front assembly to the brackets on the back of the TV. So we're going to just go pull those, and then this kind of slides up. I just kind of push it up, pull the screw out, of course. And I want to save those screws. I don't want to lose them. So we've got two of them. I've got one there, and I got to get the other one out. And so we're just going to go lefty-loosey and get that bad boy out of there. And we're going to save both of those screws. This is where we slide the bracket into that hook, and then we pull it down and we lock it down. That's what keeps it on the TV. So this connects to the wall mount. That slides in there. Those two screws that are up here are going to go through there and lock into that area there. That's how it works. So the head of the wall mount slides in there on that bracket, and then if I just lift it up, I can slide it right into the hooks on the brackets on the back of the TV. And that's basically how it works. And then up top there's two locks that you can pull down, and you can put those little screws in there and lock it down. All right, so our next step is actually getting this wall mount screwed to a concrete wall.